Hey, and we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and it's the first episode of Nasty Neal Goes to the Movies. That's not entirely true. I've done these before, but not on any regular basis. So I go to the movies almost every weekend, see a lot of movies online at home. So why not talk about them on the show? And also for all you folks out there who have a lot of Dabbleverse questions, it's sometimes a little hard to ask them depending on who the guest I have. But if you would like to tonight, feel free. Or you don't have to either. It doesn't matter to me either way. But we are here to talk about some movies I saw this week. And before we get into that, hit the like button, subscribe, share this out, help support the channel, become a member. Starts only $3 a month. You can do the $10 a month tier, and you can get IMDb credits. I don't think any other show out there, and if they are, they stole from me. I don't think any other show out there is giving IMDb credits for a tier to help support the channel. So this week, I saw a ton of movies last week at Buried Alive Film Festival. Done some interviews, got some new interviews coming up for those. We'll have Tina Romero on the show soon, daughter of George Romero. And her new movie, Queens of the Dead, played at Buried Alive Film Festival. I also got to see it in Boston a few weeks before that. And it's her zombie movie about drag queens. It's a drag queen zombie movie. Now, I'm saving any talk about that until she's on the show, because I got a lot of questions. Even like the idea of doing a zombie movie, because you would think when you're the daughter of the OG, of the guy who really created modern zombies. Like zombies were around before that, but before that, they were all like voodoo zombies. But what we think of zombies today, where you have to kill the brains and they're eating flesh, that is all from George Romero. So to have that lineage, like you're the daughter of the guy who created this genre, like what's the thought process to even do a zombie movie? Because I think part of you would be like, okay, well, I have to do a zombie movie. But then I would think there's also a lot of her that would be like, I can't do a zombie movie. I can do horror movies. I can do movies, but I should probably stay away from doing a zombie movie. So I don't know, but I would think that's something that she had to wrestle with to even get to that. Yeah, sky high expectations. I tried to make my super chat non-Dabbleverse in your. I appreciate that actually, Jay Wolfenstein. I appreciate that a lot. Depending on the guest, it's not so bad. But I don't want to like pop up anything, super ridiculous with the guest on the air or super offensive or whatever. I try to be a fairly normal guy. But on this show, yeah, feel free to say whatever you want. But so yesterday, so what did I see? I went to see 3 movies. For people who don't know, I do the AMC Stub Club, which I recommend if you have an AMC near you and you're someone who does like the theater experience like myself. And I realize going to the theater can get really expensive. It's like even do matinees might be $10, but if you go to see multiple movies, it runs into a lot of money. And I think like if you go in the evening, it's around $20. If you go see IMAX or 3D, it can even get more. So that's a lot of money. So I do the AMC Stub Club, and it's like 22 or something like that a month. And you used to be able to see 3 movies. Now you can see 4 movies a week. And so there's a lot of pluses. First of all, that's a huge savings for me. It's like $22. I go almost every weekend and we'll see usually 3, sometimes 4 movies. Usually it's a little hard for me to see 4 movies in one day because I don't have AMC near me. So I go up to Boston and I go to the AMC and I usually see all the movies at one after another. And so let's say it's 3 movies a week, 4 weeks, 12 movies. That's, probably almost $200 or more, maybe more, depending on how you see the movies. And with the app, it's $22. So it's a good deal. And what also, what's not something I thought about at the time when I first started doing this is, so some weeks like this week, there's actually a lot of movies I wanted to see. actually didn't even get to see all the movies I wanted to see. I just couldn't schedule them. And also tomorrow I'm going to go see The Running Man with my brother and our mom. But so some weeks it's like, well, there's like one movie I want to see. Do I just go see that one movie? It's like, no, I will give a shot to like a couple movies that I don't really care about, or maybe I have like a vague interest in, but I probably wouldn't have gone to the theater otherwise to see them. And sometimes I've just gone in completely blind to something I had no idea about. It's actually how I discovered Indian cinema, which, people consider Bollywood, but Indian cinema I fell in love with by doing this. It was like one day I was like, I had, at the time, I had extra all Bollywood movies, Indian cinema are like 3 hours long. So I went to see an Indian movie. It wasn't RRR. That wasn't the first one. That's, I would recommend if you wanted to get your foot into Indian cinema, if you don't know about it, that would be the one to start with. RRR. It's a really good movie, really big budget, and a lot of action and stuff going on. Plus, it incorporates all like the staples of Indian cinema, big dance number, a lot of action, very macho movies, a little bit of maybe homoeroticism unintentionally, because like the males are always like super macho and like they're like always buddy. So you get like, these two guys riding horseback shirtless together, if that's your deal. But so part of it is funny because it's like a different culture. They're also very well made, and they really feel like old Hollywood, where there's these giant cast of extras. So it's not like CG extras. It's a cast of like, hundreds of actual extra people. And they always break down into a song and dance number at least one point in the movie, no matter really what genre it is. It could be an action movie. It could be, I've even seen horror movies do this out of Bollywood, out of India. They're not going to be for everybody, but I enjoy them quite a bit. So that's how I found them. And the point was, I go to see some stuff that I might not have seen otherwise. And sometimes it's something I'll go in and say, oh yeah, this is not something I'm into. And I might even leave, and I don't feel so bad leaving since, I've got the app. Or there's been lots of times it was a movie I either wouldn't have saw until it was streaming, or maybe never would have saw. And it would be pleasant. It would be a pleasant surprise. So I dig that. Yeah, I agree, Jay. You're a good man. I like that. So this week there was a lot of movies I wanted to see. So I actually had to figure out which three I could see, because I couldn't figure out to see 4 movies. So we started the night with Predator Badlands. And if you're not aware, which I assume you probably are, here is the trailer for Predator Badlands. And then we'll get into what I thought of the movie.
So this is your first hunt. And you've come to the most dangerous planet in the universe. You're after a creature that can't be killed. The definitive apex predator. I could help you. Well, good luck with your journey. Here, you're not the predator. You're the prey. We might not be alone in this hunt.
Yeah, so Predator Badlands. Predator is a franchise. A lot of people hate a lot of the sequels, but I like most of the Predator movies. Obviously, clearly, some are way better than others. The first one is definitely the best. Second one's fine. That's kind of grown in popularity amongst people. They like that one quite a bit. I always thought both Alien vs. Predator movies are pretty rotten. Predators with on the planet. I thought it was all right. I know a lot of people really hated it. I thought it was okay. I actually liked the one after that. I forget the name, which most people hated. And then Prey came around, and originally they were going to market that as just like a standalone movie that had nothing to do with Predator, and then like people would go in and then find out it's a Predator movie, which would have been really cool, honestly. But I get why that's like a hard sell to get people to go see a movie and not like promote that it's part of this big franchise. And it's pretty famous that Hulu they put it right to Hulu as opposed to a theatrical run. And then people loved it. People loved Prey. And then they realized, oh, this was a mistake, not releasing this theatrically. And I did think Prey was a really good movie. That might have been my favorite outside of the original. And so the same director, Dan Trachtenberg, did this one, same director as Prey. And I believe he also does the cartoon, which I've not watched, but I've been really interested in checking that out. I've heard good things. And so going to Predator Badlands, I try to stay away from reviews when I go see a movie. I also try to stay away from trailers, even though I played one here, because I was watching that trailer. It does give away a lot of the movie. So if you can go in blind, I do think it's the best way. But I can't avoid just like social media completely. So I saw a lot of people either saying it was like real badass, and I saw a lot of people like really hating it. They're like, "Oh, this is the Disney version of Predator." So I go in. The movie starts amazing. So it's like this young predator's who's small. He's got an older brother who's a traditional like big predator, and they get a little backstory how the smaller predator, the run of the litter, had saved. I believe his name is Deck is the main predator of the show of the movie, the smaller guy, and then his big brother Quay. Talks about how he had saved Deck had saved him at one point. And then the dad comes out and he's just basically like, we should have like killed Deck, as a run, as a child, because he's weak. And we get to see like an actual lot of backstory of like the predators themselves in their own environment. In the and you don't always see that in these movies. You see that their interaction with humans, and there's like a hints to a backstory that they're a race of hunters that go and try to find big game, and at one point it's humans, but we actually get to see these guys on their home planet. And so the dad wants the older brother to kill Deck because he's the runt. And long story short, he doesn't do that. Quay, the older predator brother, helps Deck escape the planet. And then and Deck sees his father kill his brother in front of him. And so then Deck's thing is like, I'm gonna go and kill this this notorious monster on this planet, the Khalees, gonna bring it back to the home planet and prove, that I belong as part of the predators. And so he lands on this planet, and at first he meets this character, Thea, who you see in the trailer there, and she's an android. Half of her body's missing. And I'll be honest, at this point in time, I was like, oh no, this character's kind of ruining the movie. It's kind of like Jar Jar Binks or something, where it's like really annoying, and she's like, I don't want to say like a child's movie, but it's like really like goofy humor, like slapstick. And I was like, man, I don't know what they're doing here. But I do think some people just checked out there, maybe, who really hated the movie. But there's a much more backstory to the Thea character, and a nice twist. There'll be a little spoilers here. I'm not going to spoil like the end of the movie or anything. So you find out that she's working along with her quote unquote sister. They're both androids, and they're tasked in capturing the Khalees, the big monster. And then when they find the predator, like, oh, we're going to capture him too. And so she's not this like, just slapsticky, goofy character that you think she is. She's actually, a fully thought out character with her own motivations. And it's brought up that they installed human emotions in these characters, and the reason in these androids, and the reason why is they understand like humanity, and they could exploit other like sentient beings. So there's a lot of darkness there, and her sister is all like destroyed, and you could tell like over time, like she's been through a lot. Like they showed in the trailer, which is a little unfortunate, because I think when you first see that character, it's like, oh wow, but you see it right away in the trailer, which I didn't watch the trailer before seeing the movie. Yeah, I agree. Going in blind, there's so much advertising, it can ruin everything. What was that vampire movie a couple years ago with the child vampire? And when I was watching the movie, like, it was clear that the movie was set up where you didn't know that she was a vampire. Because like the first like half hour or 40 minutes of the movie is all mysterious about, what's up with this girl that they kidnapped. And then the big reveal is she's a vampire. But the trailers, the poster art, everything had already ruined that. They already told you she was a vampire. And that was Abigail. Yeah, Abigail. And I would say that the marketing for that actually took away from the film. And people have argued with me that the other characters in the movie aren't supposed to know she's a vampire, but you are. But that's not accurate. When you're watching the movie, it's clear that no one is supposed to know that she's a vampire. The audience included, because then it's the big reveal when she's a vampire. It's not hinted at, up until the big reveal. But everything, and so if they were going to market it as that movie, they should have re-edited it in a way where it doesn't like take away that you already know she's a vampire going in. And so we don't necessarily have that in Predator, but to a certain degree, like, it would be better not to know about the sister character at all going to the movie, because I didn't, and it was a nice little twist. There's also a real big twist in the movie. Here's a spoiler, because I didn't know this going in either, and I hate this. I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody. So if you haven't watched it yet, maybe I'll put up like a spoiler here. Do I have a spoiler like let's see here. Here we go. Spoilers. Instead of putting it across we'll just put it like this. All right. Spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything from Predator Badlands, turn off your ears for a minute until the spoilers is gone. So another big thing of the movie, which I thought, which was really cool to me, and also has me looking forward to the future, is the company that owns the androids, and also sent them out to capture the Khalees. The reason why they want to capture the Khalees, because not only is it a big monster, but it regenerates. So like, we need to capture this and harness its regenerative abilities. And then when they capture Deck the Predator, the sister wants to just kill him because he's weaker than a usual predator. So there's no real point in him, but they want all his weapons, because they can learn from all the predators' weapons, because they have all, they have the invisibility, they've got all the kinds of cool lasers and stuff. And that's when the Thea character, comes to his protection. But so the group that owns them is the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, which nerds out there like myself, that is the corporation in the Alien movies. So it's the same corporation that that makes Bishop, and sent them out to capture the xenomorphs. So it's like, oh cool, this is we're connecting universes here. So hopefully this will build to a good Alienverse Predator at some point in time. And another little spoiler, Thea at one point uses the like the forklift robot kind of exoskeleton that Ripley uses in Alien. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So once we get by that Thea is just like this kind of annoying character, and you get to see more of her. I love this movie. It's really action packed, really good at world building, universe building, because you create all these characters, you create this world, which I know the Predator world's been around, but we expand it. We get to see Deck go back to the home planet. I won't give away everything that happens, but it really sets up for more of these, you following these characters, sort of like a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing, but not like so much as a comic book movie, but kind of idea, like this band of people that don't necessarily, fit together, but now they're stuck together and they're bonded together. So I really can't recommend Predator Badlands enough. I thought it was awesome. I thought this was a super fun movie, great experience in the theater, really fun to watch, tons of action, and also I thought it was a cool story and interesting characters. So I dig it. I saw one guy on my Facebook. He was just like, "Oh, I hated that movie because it doesn't the trees didn't match like the Badlands of, I don't know, North Dakota or whatever." I'm like okay, they're on a fucking alien planet, dumbass. No offense. So what was the second movie I saw? Oh, then I went to see The Carpenter's Son. And should I even show these trailers? Let me show this trailer, The Carpenter's Son, and then it's the what I thought was the Nicolas Cage horror Jesus movie, which it is, but here is a look at the trailer for The Carpenter's Son.
What awaits us when we turn at last to death? Let my faith endure. Faith. My only strength to bear against the devil itself. For years we live in hiding, driven from every home. He bears a power he cannot understand, a power I cannot contain.
Is he my father?
You put that in your mind. Do you want to know a secret? I know one that can free you.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
Is he from your angels or from demons?
You were always afraid, greatly afraid. My faith has been shattered! I am the accuser of life. I am the adversary. And why am I here?
To torment me.
Yes.
Carpenter's Son, which is technically a horror movie about Jesus with Nicolas Cage. But, that trailer is actually a pretty accurate portrayal of the movie. But I've seen so much about this movie going in. I really thought it was like this really wild, crazy Nicolas Cage movie where maybe Jesus is a zombie, or who the hell knows. And there was like a lot of people boycotting the movie because they were saying it's anti-faith, anti-Christian. And it's got like this insanely low score on, on like all the platforms, because it's mostly people saying, boycott this movie, who I don't think they've seen it. It's very similar to the Martin Scorsese Last Temptation of Christ, where people were boycotting the movie without seeing it because it's not anti-Christian. Jesus is the good guy. His dad, portrayed by Nicolas Cage, is a very faithful man. And then the villain of the movie, as you saw in there, the tormentor, is Satan. And so I don't really understand why any Christians would want to boycott the movie. And I think if it was, I guess some of that's probably trying to pick up horror fans. And I do think if they would have marketed it more towards like young, open-minded, or maybe not even young, but um, faithful people, Christian audience who also like horror movies, like I think it maybe could have found like an audience, but they really pushed it more towards people sort of like me. That's why I went to see it, where it was like this really crazy horror movie about Jesus, and it's not really that. I mean, technically it is, but it's not like really insane or anything. Which I kind of would have preferred it to be real insane. They do show a clip there in the trailer where Nicolas Cage does kind of do his Nic Cage thing, where he's like, I'm losing my faith, and that's really the only like crazy Nic Cage we get in the movie. His portrayal as the Carpenter is pretty just a low key underscored like performance. I honestly thought the kid who played Jesus is kind of the weaker part. Not to pick on he's fine. He's totally fine. Noah Jupe, but he's just not really that interesting in the movie. He's just kind of like the vessel around everything else that's happening. And then FKA Twigs, almost like in another movie. I don't know what her performance was interesting as Jesus's mom, but it was very odd. It was just a very odd performance. Like, I think she thought she was in some crazy whacked out Nicolas Cage movie. And she really wasn't. So, and I would say that's more on the director, because I don't think the director really knew like what his like vibe of the movie was, or like what the tone of the movie was, because some people are kind of acting fairly straight, and then FKA Twigs is like really, really out there, a very peculiar performance. But I thought the star of the movie, honestly, was Isla Johnston, who plays Satan in the movie. I thought she gave by far the best performance in the movie. It was really solid, really good performance. It's a mixed bag. Like I actually enjoyed the whole movie. I think it's marketed incorrectly. I think a lot of people are going in thinking they're going to see this really wild ass movie. There's some like, surreal stuff, mostly towards the end. I would say it's more faith driven, honestly, which I'm not a Christian or a faithful guy. I don't, I'm atheist, but I also, I'm not like against watching, something I don't necessarily believe in. I'm not like anti-Christian or anything like that. So, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of just, about Satan trying to tempt Jesus to her side. I don't know if Satan is. I think that the casting a woman to play Satan in the movie, but it's not really portrayed that Satan is a woman. I think it's more like just, it's you don't know the gender of Satan in the movie, which I thought was actually a really interesting choice. I think that's the best part of the movie, honestly. But overall, I dug it a lot, and I was glad I went to see it. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but I do think it's for an audience that won't go see it because of all this talks about it being anti-Christian. So the third movie I went to see, by the way, though, that movie's good, and it gets really surreal, it gets really weird, a lot of stuff with serpents and snakes, rotten fruit, a lot of metaphors. Honestly, it's very biblical, I would think. I've never read the whole Bible. It was interesting when I was in high school, we read the Bible as in literature, and so we read the parts of the Bible, but for archetypes of storytelling, like the Christ figure and like the underdog, like Samson and Goliath. Is that right? Samson and Goliath. And it was that was really interesting. And it was funny at that time. no one complained that we were reading the Bible. The only people, there was like one family that complained, but their complaint was that they were calling the Bible literature, which I never really understood. Even if you do think the Bible is written by God, it would still be literature because it still is written, I would assume. But either way, I dug the movie. All right, so the third movie I went to see, David and Goliath. There we go, David and Goliath. Who's Samson's the guy gets his hair cut off. I think we read that one too. I think the casting was right. My ex-girlfriend was definitely Satan. There you go. Samson and Delilah. Yeah. She cuts his hair off. I used to have really long hair, but I think I was reverse. I think I've gotten more powerful since I shaved it off. Not necessarily like strength, but I've done a lot more in my life since I shaved the head. And also since I lost Stuttering John. I'm gonna if there's no John questions tonight, it's totally fine. I think I'm gonna do a completely my plan is to do Dead to Me, and it's gonna chronicle my 1-year relationship with Stuttering John from last year when I first appeared on his show until the comeback and then the betrayal. I think that'll be fun. But a lot of people ask me I might do more Dabbleverse stuff. I do enjoy it. I mean, I can't pretend. I used to be like, I'm not part of the Dabbleverse. I just pop in and out, but I can't really say that anymore. I mean, I've been around here for a year. I'm not around every day, but I'm around. So why not? Why not just embrace it? I got buddies out there, the Tommy Jordan, my close personal friend. We went to camp together. So now we're going to go into Keeper, which is the new Oz Perkins film. And here is the trailer for Keeper.
Let's go back. Can we do that? Can we just do that? When we didn't know. We didn't know any of this. What are you?
Damn, I might stop showing the trailers on these though, because that shows an awful lot of the movie. And the thing is that trailer shows like all the horror elements of the movie. And so I do also think it gives you a false perception of what you're going to go into. Because you're seeing all that and you think maybe that's like the movie's like nonstop, like weirdness. And it isn't. It isn't. Which really worked while I was watching the movie. So, and I do think Oz Perkins is, as one of those people said, like Damien Leone, like a new master of horror, however he said it. And a guy that can do different styles of horror, which, not everyone can, like some people are like, this is their kind of thing. And you could tell it's their kind of movie, but Oz Perkins, the first movie I really liked of his that I saw was Gretel and Hansel. I thought that was an excellent movie, underrated movie, where the witch gets like so much praise. And I don't think obviously it looks beautiful, the witch. There's great elements there. But I actually think Gretel and Hansel's a better witch movie, because in The Witch, there's no reason why she gets persuaded to the dark side. There's no temptation, because everything she views of the witch is like just disgusting and vile. She sees, it kills like her family. She sees it as this old nasty woman. And then she talks to the goat, and the goat's just like, yeah, we'll live deliciously. And she's like, all right, I'm selling my soul. And people also like, and I've never understood why anyone thinks the witch is like a pro like feminist movie, or like they say not necessarily feminist, but an empowering movie. And I don't see that at all, because the woman sells her soul to the male devil. She gets tricked into selling her soul to the male devil. So I never understood how this was empowering to women. I'm actually really not a fan of the movie. I think it looks beautiful. Gretel and Hansel, on the other hand, well, it's not a perfect movie by any means. It actually shows the temptation and why Gretel would consider, becoming a witch and, selling her soul to the devil. I think it does a much better job at that. And I just think it's a really good movie that takes a familiar tale and does something a little different with it. Oh yeah, but that's a great point, Greg. I saw the trailer for Hokum 2. That looked great, and I was really happy. I saw like a multitude of horror movie trailers, and it makes me really happy. It used to be like, because I go to the movies every week for years, and I'd be happy when there's one horror movie out, and it'd be like, oh, this month there's one horror movie coming out. That's cool. But now, like when I go, there's multiple horror movies coming out every month, and I'm really happy about that. I think a big part of it is what people go see. I go to the movies all the time, and besides, your big blockbuster movies, who's in the theater? It's mostly people at these horror movies, especially lower budget. Like, I don't mean they go specifically go see low budget horror movies, but a $10 million horror movie. There's not very many people are going to go to a $10 million action movie or $10 million drama. They'll go see a drama based on The Star. They'll go see a comedy based on The Star. People will go see horror movie because it's a horror movie. And so it's good for me because I'm a horror fan. But it's nice to see people at the movies in general. But it's good to see them at horror movies, because that means there's going to be more of them released. And as someone who produces low budget, not $10 million low budget horror movies, mine are like 10 grand horror movies. But it's cool that there's an interest in them, and not just like because of that, but I like to go see them. So if you are a horror fan, and I know not everyone likes the theatrical experience, but if you want the theaters to keep playing this stuff, you do have to go see it when it comes out. I'm not saying just blindly love every movie, but if you do like cinema, if you do like the theater, and you like horror movies or whatever movies you like, if you want them to show more of those movies, you should go see them and support the cinema. So Keeper, it's this guy, and it's like his girlfriend, and they're spending the weekend for the first time together at his cabin. He's got like a weird like cousin. Everything's very off. There's just a lot of offness about this. And the cousin has this very strange girlfriend. So you just know something's not right. And then this is right away, right at the beginning. The guy like, oh, you want a piece of this cake? And you kind of get right away that you're like, oh, well, she shouldn't eat this cake. There's clearly something wrong. And so at first I'm thinking, well, this movie's a little like obvious. But as it goes on, you don't know what, something's wrong, but you never know exactly what. You see little glimpses of women like in pain and maybe being murdered or tortured. And Oz in this movie does a great job at doing so much with showing so little. That's why that trailer is not an accurate portrayal, because while you're watching the movie, you don't see much of anything. You just see little glimpses, even maybe a little shadow off in the distance. And there's a point in this movie where I actually got frustrated, almost like Skinamarink, not quite to that level, but this idea where I'm not seeing enough, and it makes me like, I want to see more, and I'm frustrated and confused. And after watching the whole movie as a whole, I was like, that was what he wanted. While you're watching the movie, you want to feel like the character. You want to feel like Liz in this moment. He wants the audience to be confused. He wants the audience to be frustrated. Like I need to see more, because she's like drugged, and so it's this weird, like, you can't quite see everything that's going on, and you really can't force yourself to get there. And it's like, this was a really masterfully directed and put together movie. And there's sense of like real dread and tension throughout the movie. And I know some people are anti jump scare, but the jump scares really work well in this movie. But there was a point where I almost like, I don't think I like this movie because I wasn't being given enough. But when you finish the whole movie as a whole, you're like, oh, that really worked. And it enhances when things start to pay off. And so, he leaves her at home alone in the house for a while. And then when he comes back, and the whole time it's like red flag after red flag. It's like, this guy's too calm. This guy's too nice. This idea that he's leaving, all this stuff. It's like, and you're almost like, why doesn't she just leave? But at the same time, you get it. It was just a really well-made movie. It's not going to be for everybody, and it's going to be a movie. It's going to be very divisive. I think people overuse like love or hate. Like, oh, you either love this movie or hate it. What they really mean is you're either going to like this movie or don't like it, that would go for everything in the world. But I think this movie is definitely a divisive film where it's either going to work for you or it won't. And I'm not going to say you're wrong if it doesn't work for you, because I could just see this not being a movie for everybody. But my recommendation, which people used to recommend Skinamarink like this to me, and that movie just does not work for me. Some people love it, is you cannot multitask. Probably see it in the theater or maybe at home, just turn off all the lights, and you have to be really embraced by the movie. You have to just devote your time and your energy into the movie. Don't be thinking about other things. Don't be looking on your phone. Don't be reading a book or looking at trolling the internet or whatever. Just stay in this movie, and that'll be the best chance of working for you, because it worked for me. So as it goes on, though, we do see a lot of wild, just insane, very creepy stuff, creepy and gross. And I'm not going to spoil this one at all. I know I spoiled some of Predator, because I would rather people see this. But when you get to the payoff of what is happening, what's in the house, what is the house, what is Malcolm and his cousin, it's really great. It's really creepy. And then it gets creepier as it goes on, and you get a great payoff. So this is I think it's like a masterpiece. This is a true original horror movie that you don't always see. Like I said, it's not going to work for everybody. And I also honestly think it's Oz Perkins' best movie. And I really like that he does so many different things. I need to go back and see some of his early work, because I really like Gretel and Hansel. I was not a huge fan of Longlegs, but I do think I need to revisit it. And then The Monkey was so different than Longlegs and different than this. It's a very overt comedy horror, and that worked a lot for me. I really liked that a lot. And to be able to do both things, like a really overt comedy horror film with lots of crazy blood and stuff, and also do this. This guy's this is a people talk about, great horror directors of the past, George Romero. I don't think James Whale gets enough credit, but I think we have some today. We have some great horror directors, and Oz Perkins is right at the top there as one of, I think that's probably a big reason why horror's been doing so good lately. We do have like 3 or 4 like really top-notch horror directors out there. How are you, buddy? I'm at that's good, man. Do the Wendy's diet. Our boy Anthony Chobo, he's been losing a lot of weight just eating like Baconators. That sounds like a diet that I could stick to. Let's see. I think now's the time for low budgets to rise again. I think the mainline studio movies have gotten so out of control with their budgets that literally can't break even. Yeah, it's so weird because you'll see these movies, even like that new Superman, like, oh, it was like this big failure, made like $500 million or something. And before that, though, like before James Gunn took over DCU, the Snyderverse, like, all that stuff made 300 million, 405, and it was all like giant failures because he was making these movies for like $500-600 million budgets. Plus, you put in the money to advertise that. It was the MCU, and I'm not anti-MCU. I liked a lot of the stuff up until Avengers Endgame. I pretty much like. There's stuff I like better, and maybe a couple I didn't like, but up until then, like I really liked the Avengers. I mean, I liked the MCU movies, and then you got just too much to follow, honestly, because then you have to also follow all these TV shows, and there's so many movies, and they started putting out some subpar stuff, and then they underperform, but they were under the mindset that this would go on forever, where you could make anything basically. And, it's going to make, an obscene amount of money. And I think part of that was they saw James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. And they're like, oh, it doesn't have to be household names. It doesn't have to be, Captain America or Spider-Man, the Hulk, or whatever. We can make, even like Iron Man, Doctor Strange. They're well known amongst comic book fans and probably have some name recognition, but nothing like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman. So even those are kind of a surprise, especially Iron Man being the first one. But Guardians of the Galaxy, that was like basically unknown unless you're just a hardcore comic fan. You wouldn't know those characters at all. And I think they just said, oh, okay, we can just pick any characters and this will work. But what was overlooked was James Gunn made you care about these like unknown characters. And he did the same thing with his version of Suicide Squad. It's too bad that his Suicide Squad wasn't just the first one, because I actually think that's a tremendous movie. But I think that's a big strength of James Gunn. First of all, he makes fun movies. And he also can really make like it's kind of dumb characters or like really obscure characters shine. And so I think that kind of spoiled the MCU. Like, oh yeah, we can make anything. And then you start putting out like the Inhumans and people are like, ugh, this stinks. Used to be box office flops were kind of irrelevant because DVDs. Yeah, that's exactly true. Now it's like, and no one really knows about streaming. There's not really money to be made. And the money that is made, for example, I also follow, I do a wrestling podcast, and they really overpay for, WWE and UFC and all these things because no one really knows. Like they know that's the future, but it's not a viable future at the moment to make a lot of money. So all these like streaming sites lose a fortune. And so I don't really know what the future of, movies are. It's a weird time. And even though I think it is a good time for indie films to do well in the theater, as an independent filmmaker myself and has a lot of independent filmmaker friends, it's also not a good time to make money like elsewhere. So like if you're the real lucky guy who makes, Terrifier or something, But there's like, hundreds or thousands of movies on those budgets that, will not go to the theater, will not catch on. And some people used to make, when Redbox is around, video stores, obviously, then even Redbox people did pretty well. Then after that, Amazon used to pay pretty well. They do not anymore. They pay like a penny an hour or something. And then Tubi used to be fairly well thought out. But like our film, and I don't have a ton of experience in the actual distribution and stuff, but our film, the Once and Future Smash and End Zone 2, which we put out the double disc, we self-published. And I don't know, it's kind of a scary time. It's both fun. It's very fun to make these movies, but it's also, can be scary. It's like, you don't want to sink in a bunch of your own money if it just all goes away. So. But it is, it's weird. It's, there's also a fan base, Jay, that they're just like, I think that they think that because they grew up just being able to pirate a movie. And so they don't even think of it as a bad thing. I remember actually in 2006, one of our first guests was Adam Green, director of Hatchet. And he had mentioned like people would message him like, oh yeah, I saw your movie. He's like, oh yeah, where? And they would just say, I downloaded off torrents. And he'd be like, well, at least like go buy a ticket online. And they would call him greedy and all these things. And they don't realize that just because these people have made movies, or they even see them on, a podcast or whatever, they think, oh, they must be millionaires, but they aren't. And when you, if you, I don't advocate piracy of any kind, but if you pirate, big Disney movie, is it good? No, but does it hurt Disney as much as if you're pirating a low budget indie film that was self-financed? No, I mean, that can really kill these movies. So I've been parts of Facebook groups that say they love movies and they'll share like torrents or different pirate sites, and I'll be like, oh, you shouldn't do that, and they call me a gatekeeper or something and ban me. So the point is, though, it's a hard world at the moment to make money with your movies, or really learn how to. And something from my friends and my experience, a lot of the distributors out there are really just trying to rip you off. Basically, take your money or take your movie and pay you nothing. So my friend Michael, who I got into filmmaking, through, he's always telling me, basically always encouraging me to make stuff, but at the same time, he always tells me, but making movies is a really terrible idea. But I think that's kind of to weed people out. So you don't want to just be like, everyone should make movies. So it's kind of like, if this is something you really want to do, like anything, probably, like if you really want to do it, then if you don't make like a fortune, it's not a problem to you. It's like, oh, well, I wanted to make this anyway. Whereas opposed to like, I'm doing this just to make money, then you're probably going to be disappointed. The problem is people think movies and they think Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg. Oh yeah, exactly. Like I'm in a little different world because I do a lot of the festivals, but I realize when I talk to people outside of that world, like like if I say I saw XYZ movie, I mean, the first thing a lot of people ask is like, oh, who's in that? And I'm like, well, nobody a friend of mine's in this movie, but that doesn't mean it's good or bad or indifferent. So Keeper, Oz Perkins, I think a real horror master at the moment. I love this movie. I think it was my favorite one of his. It will not work for everybody. And I think probably my favorite kind of movies are ones that don't work for everybody. I don't really like a middle road movie. So, but this really worked for me. Maybe it probably wouldn't have worked for me if I watched it at home and I was like scrolling on my phone. But I was there, I was in the moment. and it really worked for me. The people who pirate think exactly, yeah. Yeah, if you pirate, I'm not saying it's good to pirate anybody, obviously, or steal from anybody, but if you pirate, an MCU movie, it's bad, obviously, but you're not going to hurt the MCU. You're not going to hurt Disney or whatever, like you would if you went and started downloading, an indie movie that costs 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever. If anybody out there, if you've not been to a festival, I really recommend it. You get to see a lot of independent stuff, short, and don't overlook the shorts blocks, because the short block, not only is it fun, and you see all these different voices, it's going to be your only time to see it in a theater with a group of people. And if you have any inkling at all of ever getting involved in movies on any level, and you don't know how, I would suggest go to your local film festival. It could be tiny, but you're going to meet filmmakers and actors, and filmmakers need crew. And for the most part, just about anyone I've ever met at a film festival is very welcoming. And like, if they find out, oh, you would like to do this, well, come on and help on my set. And in my opinion, that's the best way to learn something, is to do it, is to work with other people who have done it. So, and if you have no interest in that at all and just want to see movies, it's a great time. And everyone after the movies, they all hang out and talk with each other. Bunch of like-minded people. No one's big timing anybody, so you be with the actors and the directors, the producers, and it's a big part of my life. They don't realize there are actors and directors and lighting. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point too. Actually, that is a very good point. So when I was even saying about like you're taking money from the MCU or whatever, but you have to realize that that all these employ a lot of people, and the gaffers and the lighting crew and craft services. All these people, make a living through this. It's not just Tom Cruise. It's a lot of people, and you don't want anyone to lose their job. All right, so there we go. Nasty Neal goes to. I lucked out this week. I actually liked all three movies. If I was going to rate them, I'd say The Carpenter's Son is in third place, although I enjoyed it a lot. Isla Johnson, I thought, was just my highlight of The Carpenter's Son. I thought Isla Johnson as Satan was great in the movie. This is a hard one because I actually really love Keeper and Predator Badlands, but they're completely different movies. So I'm actually going to tie them. Keeper is like a great new original horror movie. Thought-provoking. The atmosphere is really a big part of it. The themes, not really even so much the plot, but just kind of how the movie makes you feel confused at points, makes you feel frustrated, and then it can honestly scare you and weird you out. So a very emotion evoking movie. And then Predator's Badlands is just a really fun movie, a smart, well-made action movie. So really depend on what your mood. I'll put Predator Badlands 2 and then Keeper number 1, because since it's a horror show. But I would recommend all three. And kind of whatever you are there, if you're more like, oh, I just wanted like a really good time, I would say Predator Badlands. If you want something, unique and something that will make you feel different emotions, then I would say Keeper. Probably in a weird way, a good double feature. It worked for me because it's kind of like a roller coaster. It's like you got this one, this is just fun to watch, and then you got this weirded out movie. So I think I watch them in a good order, actually. I don't know what I'm going to see this weekend, because I think something really big comes out, but it's something I don't care about, so I probably won't go see it. But the problem with that is often if it's some new big movie coming out, they don't release a lot of other things. I'll be going to see Running Man tomorrow. It's a shame so many of these things came out at the same time, because obviously they can't all do well. I guess Predator came out last week, but I wasn't home. Oh, my pal Stuttering John's live. Should we check him out? Was he talking? There he's in. Should I? I don't know. I better not stream Stuttering John on my movie show. Snipe Stuttering John. Maybe we'll do that another time. Unless someone super chats me. Let's see here. What's coming out this week? Oh, the new Wicked. I never saw the first Wicked. I'm sure it's good, honestly. It's just not really for me. I say that. Who knows? Maybe I really like it. You know what? If I see the first week Wicked before this weekend, I'll go see the new one. Rebuilding. I have no idea what that is. Rental Family. Oh, Sisu Road to Revenge. Yeah, I'd like to see that. The first Sisu is great. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Well, I got at least one movie, but they only list a few movies because I think Wicked's playing in like 800 theaters at that one theater. Right. All right, so I'm going to be heading out. We're going to do more of these. I'm going to pop up live more often. I enjoy doing it. But I'll probably do the no, I was going to do this last night in Boston, but it was pouring out rain. And when I do the live streams in Boston, I kind of like to set them up outside and I don't have to bother. No one's going to bother me. I could have done it from a restaurant like we used to do dinner and a movie episodes. But the only problem with that is sometimes like it's either loud. I could have done it, I guess. I was just worried that like somebody would be like, we don't want you in here filming. But it probably been okay. Maybe we'll try it next week. I think next week we'll try to do it from Boston. If not, it's easy to come home and do it. I get more prepared. I can write some notes. I believe Kaylee and I, also known as Lucy Tightbox, I think we're going to try to do a review of the new Crispin Glover movie at some point. I know she's really busy, so and I wasn't home the last week, so it got pushed back a lot. And Crispin Glover will be coming on the show for a third interview at some point. I think Lucy, Kaylee, and I will do that one together since she saw the movie too. And then for any new folks, our regular live shows Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's me, my brother, Terrible Troy, Tara Hutchinson from New Village Video, and director friend of mine, A.J. Cutler. And this week, I'm not sure who will be on. I think maybe, I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll be live Thursday. I think we're going to be live. I'll be live Wednesday as well with Shannon Thompson, who runs Barry Live Film Festival. So that'll be fun. So just subscribe here. And you never know when I'll pop up. Hit like, comment, all that stuff. Share it out. Follow Without Your Head everywhere. Become a member. Help support the channel. And if you would also like to help support the channel, you can become a member. You can super chat. You can Venmo at Headyverse. Or you can PayPal withoutyourhead@gmail.com. None of these things do you have to do. We're still going to do the show. But if you'd like to help support the cost of the channel and buy me some coffees, I would appreciate it. All right. Until next time, this is Nasty Neal. And we're going to play us out with a song by the Tomb of Nic Cage, who do our original theme song. I do not use AI music here, and I'm not like this anti-AI guy, but this is a real band that actually writes and records music. They did the opening theme, and this is one of their music videos for, I forget which one. I think it's They Live. They Live, the Roddy Piper classic, They Live. All right, here we go.
Millions of you are streaming the instruments of your own self-loathing in the deafening voice of their electronic hive mind. Hidden in the code of every web page, they are there. In a pop-up ad for pills telling you that you aren't thin enough. In a sponsored post for a shampoo to fix your bad hair. Everywhere, all the time. Electronic billboards, buses wrapped in lies. They sell everything imaginable to question your own self-worth. Judge your neighbor and doubt yourself, and they stay in control. Check the mirror twice when you get up in the morning. It's someone else that's looking back. Wake up early. Wake up now.
See? I told you. It's different. What do you think it is?